away at age 92 right here in the Arnaville area. And of course, our connection to Miss Cecile is that Matt LeBlanc, who handles all the technical side here at the television station, the boss. That's his grandmother. So we want to give our condolences to the family. Of course, Matt's dad, Mr. Alan LeBlanc. One of the sons. Another one of the sons is Mark LeBlanc, who you and I know here in Opelousas so well. And I always forget about the connection that Mark is the brother, because I know Mark and I know Alan. Alan was my fifth grade teacher. When Matt was this little boy, we'd play with him, play a stickball with him in the schoolyard. And then they've got one other child besides Mark and Alan.
Mark
that's
handles my loans at American Bank.
That's right. There you go. And Miss Corinne Swallow is the other child. So we just want to give our condolences to the family. Miss Cecile was a Pelafig from the area. So
the Pelafigs are only from what a 20-mile radius of here.
Not from far. That's right.
Not from very small. As far as I know. Well, you have another
one more young man that died relatively young, Mr. David Hadley from the Port Barre area as well, who was married to one of my cousins, Elaine Faye Myers, originally from the old from the Waukesha Pie Ridge area. But David passed away, and of course I went to school also with his brother Denton. We called Denton Hatchet, and David had the little mechanic shop on the highway near Hazelwood there just outside of Port Barre quite a few years. So we just want to give our condolences to the family there as well.
And Linda Zarang Snatic. Is that how you pronounce that?
I think so.
Snatic?
I think so.
I remembered her from years ago. I had not seen her in years.
Right.
62 years old. She was preceded in death by her father, Edward Zarang, and of course we called him Mr. Ed Zarang, who was with the Opelousas Police Department for more years than we can count. And of course, also preceded her in death was her brother, former Sheriff Howard Zarang.
Correct.
And of course, her mother still lives, Miss Winnie, and two sisters, Beverly and Velma. And so our sympathies to the Zarang family locally in Snatic, and it shows that she had been living in the Lafayette area. And Malcolm Lalonde called me yesterday and told me about the death of Neil James Laverne, age 41, and Jay Klingon, is that how you pronounce it?
Klingon,
yeah. Age 33. They were brother-in-laws, and I think Jay went over to help his brother-in-law, James Neil, I think he went by the name of Neil Laverne, went over to help him, and they were working in the attic, I guess on some electrical connections, and they both got electrocuted. And he told me they had to cut a hole in the ceiling to be able to get the bodies. You know, you go in through a little bitty hole, but when you're dead, you don't just handle that way.
Right.
So they had to cut very sad. You know, I'm sure one grabbed a hold of it, and
the other one tried to help
him, and he got electrocuted. So our sympathies to those people and the Lavernes locally.
Yep.
And it's sad of how things can happen. And of course, you go to the Artigo Barbershop.
That's correct.
And
Harold,
Miss Dolores, better known as D. Artigo, she died, and she was 68 years old, and her husband is, she's survived by Harold.
Right, the barber, Harold and Floyd, the barbershop on the north side barbershop here in town. And of course, I know the son-in-law too, Louis Labriere, who's here in town, an attorney, was a partner with Eric LaFleur for quite a few years, Senator Eric LaFleur. So our condolences to the family. Last time I went to get my hair cut, when Harold wasn't there, I asked Floyd, so what's going on? And he says, it's not good. You know, they just, it was a quick type thing. So our condolences.
And another one, another death, then we're going to come to Mr. Darby in a few minutes.
Sir.
We got to prepare ourselves for that one.
That's right.
How many priests were there? Priests?
I heard there were 8.
8 priests.
Pretty popular guy.
What? That's another story in itself. You write a book on that. Reverend Stephen Lazaro. That's Butch Lazaro, our doctor friend, my personal friend. Steve was the little boy that was always in our feet when we were growing up. He was like 4 years younger than Butch and I. And Steve I didn't realize, you know, that he had been ill. Possibly it was something quick, I'm not really sure. But his family and Butch and Kay, my deepest of sympathies on his recent death, and I'm sorry that I found out about it after the burial and all had taken place.
And we want to talk about this one?
Mr. Joe Darby. Melvin, well, not too many people knew him as Melvin. He was Mr. Joe Darby. Well,
in Orneville.
I have a story about this Mr. Joe. He and the Zonbreakers own quality, they call it Quality John Deere. But back in those days, they hadn't, I don't think, even gotten into the John Deere business. They were in the feed and seed business.
Correct.
The Zonbreakers in the Church Point, Crowley area, and of course,
G&H, I guess would be, that's all the same.
That's one. That's right. One of the firms over there. And then Mr. Darby was over here in Orneville.
The old cotton gin. The old
that's
Darby
right.
gin.
And they would come to Toby's when, well, before I owned it, and during the time I owned the restaurant and all, they would come there. And one day I went and did my usual, thanked them for dining with us at lunch, and visited like that, and I said, Mr. Joe, I know you played a part in getting together here for lunch, and I've missed you on a few times, Mr. Darby, Mr. Joe. And he says, don't ever say Mr. Joe again. I'm Joe Darby. Right. And I said, well, okay, Mr. Joe, I won't say Mr. Joe again. And I couldn't finish saying Mr. Joe, and that was just the way I was raised. Right. I mean, Cornelius and Jeanette, my mom and dad,
did a cuff the back of that head.
They'd hit me on the side of the head. And really, how old was
84.
84, 10 years older than me, so I was doing the proper thing. But I mean, I say Mr. and Miss and all of that to younger people than me. I mean, I don't look at that. But anyhow, you and I did take some time off Monday.
Went to Orneville.
Went to Orneville and visited. And the only one, I had met one of his sons, John, briefly before.
And we saw John that day when we went.
When we went. And then, of course, I knew Joseph the best. And Joseph was running the store. Now, you know, that's honoring his dad.
Had an employee, I think, that had a sick husband. So she was struggling with that. And he says, look, I don't have to be at the funeral home for a little while. Run the business all by himself out there. So, I mean, just
and people coming in and out. Did you see?
And give him more time to visit in a more laid-back environment. So you and I sat there and visited. I know one of the John Deere distributors that came in while we were there.
Yeah, and got to visit with him, and we talked about Don. He knew Don Oye. And by the way, on May the 16th is going to be the 2nd anniversary of his death.
That's right, already.
So it's right around the corner. And how I remember that, well, certain things you remember and a lot of things you don't. But
good people. And also, instead of donating flowers, Mr. Joe wanted people to donate to 3 schools. One is John Paul II Academy in Lafayette that's just moving out near Immaculata, near the bishop's office. And I saw a Turlings Catholic, and also School of St. Mary in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because his daughter married a stag from the Eunice area, and I think they relocated to the Oklahoma, somewhere in the Midwest area. Tulsa. So he wanted, you know, good Catholic education for all the grandkids, and he wanted people to help donate to keep good education for the grandkids, which I thought was a beautiful, beautiful gesture.
And he returned to SLI, and he graduated in 1948. And for those of you that are a little bit younger, SLI is where I got I was one of the last graduating classes of SLI. Then it became USL, and then Dr. Audemont, in his wisdom, changed it to UL, and will never be the university that LSU is. So he can forget about that. But let's get on to a better subject. I told him that
you're proud of being a graduate of SLI.
Exactly, and USL encompassed all of
Southwest Louisiana.
And now we just, with University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
Just another one.
Yeah, we out of the picture. That's what irked me. And I told him that to his face at the Palace Cafe in a meeting. Not in a bad way, but he took it.
A bad enough way.
Yeah. Well, I said it was going to be part of his obituary.
And it will be.
And it will be.
That's correct.
Anyhow, Mr. Joe, I'll always refer to you as Mr. Joe, my dear friend.
Carl,
and a lot of other people's dear friends.
You got it. And of course, my brother, my whole family have always dealt with Mr. Joe for years.
Oh, and what did Joseph, first thing he told us when
my
we
brother's
walked
sort
in?
of a friendly competitor, and the first thing he told me about my brother was about how much his dad likes my brother and was good friends with my brother. And my brother would always talk highly of Mr. Joe. I mean, it's an interesting
That's
guy.
Joe nice, not
That's
Mr.
Right. That's
Joe.
correct. Now, I got to get a couple of sponsors in for the break here. Carl's Thrifty Way. If you got to get your medicine refilled, Carl's Thrifty Way is the place here in town. They can take care of you, all your prescriptions. They can get you the name brand prescriptions of whatever you need. If you want to try the off-brand, the generic drugs, they can do that as well. They've got over-the-counter medications as well. Maybe that will help you out for the things that you're doing. And right now, a lot of people are going on vacation, spring break and summertime. Go and get all your stuff refilled there. And don't forget about the gift selections, gift wrapping, and monogramming. You got graduation, first communion, all going on right now. That's at Carl's Thrifty Way. And one more sponsor, Dixie Storage. All your storage needs. Dixie Storage can help you, personal and commercial, climate controlled and not climate controlled, little bitty units, whole warehouses with loading docks,
Don't
railroad
forget
access.
that trucking service.
Dixie One Trucking can go and move your inventory around. They do inventory control for you as well throughout St. Landry Parish. And of course, they've got A Plus Glass, their sister company in Lafayette and Annapolis. They can do windshields, commercial, home glass, inspections for your cars all the way up to 18-wheelers.
18-wheelers. That's very important for those of you that's riding along the highway listening to the program. And you may be in Simsport right now listening to the Bobby Dupre Show on Thursday morning at 7 a.m. And that's another benefit that our sponsors get now is all this added territory that we're now bringing the message on at the 7 a.m. program on Thursday morning.
From Ellick all the way down to the coast.
There you go. And talking about having to speed up on I-49 from 70 to 75 in the kind of the rural areas of it.
That's what it says. Now, I had a friend who went all the way to Shreveport. They told me there wasn't much area that wasn't at 75. It kind of shocked them. Almost the whole way, you can go 75 now.
That's
Except like in town, Alexandria.
Gonna hurt Washington's speeding tickets, I guess.
You think? Help or hurt?
Well, it kind of hurt, I guess. Well, I don't know. Maybe they're going to cruise a little bit through there.
We got to break 3 minutes. KSLO and on TV. We'll see you folks on the other side at 3.